Hello there, interwebs, and welcome to Close-Up. I'm your host, Joe.
And I'm Justin.
Today we have a listicle for you. Top Star Wars character introductions. Why not just top 10 Star Wars characters or whatever? Because we're going to get specific. We'll probably do a lot of Star Wars lists over time. So, and these introductions, even that we're kind of being loose about the concept of introductions here. I'd wager it could be a character's very first scene, the way you'd think. First moment, perhaps. First episode, if they're from a TV show. This is the controversial part. Or even reintroductions if they appear multiple times. Because sometimes your first introduction ever wasn't good enough. A lot of Star Wars especially get better the next time. So, we're keeping this list shorter because we're trying to keep these things shorter now. Honourable Mentions. Lando Calrissian, Empire Strikes Back. Hello, what have we here? He's very cocky, he's a scoundrel. You know who this guy is, kisses Leia's hand right away. He's just cool, and he's got a cape.
He's almost a scene stealer.
Yeah. Han, what did you do to my ship? He's very charismatic.
He's iconic right off the bat.
Number 14, R2D2 and C-3PO in A New Hope. All those lasers blasting this ship. We as an audience, if it's your first one, which it should be, are still trying to figure out what's going on. And you just have these droids. And I love how 3PO, he's freaking out. He has no idea where they're going. And R2 is just pretty silent. You can tell there's the emotional one and the chill one who's just going to get the mission done here. And they establish themselves very well in the heat of combat.
You already know when he gets his mission. You already know why R2 is the one given the mission.
Exactly. And 3PO has no idea what's going on. He's just trying to survive this. Number 13, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. That very first scene where he shows up to the bar and collects his bounty. This guy's a badass. That's basically all it says. I don't know much more about him other than he's a badass and he can fight. And it was a very good introduction to a brand new TV show, which basically kicked off the entirety of Disney Plus original streaming. So, good introduction all around there.
Yeah.
Number 12, Kit Fisto from the Star Wars animated, Genndy Tartakovsky animated Clone Wars adventures from 20 years ago. This is one that I've had stuck in my brain since childhood, where I never even really knew Kit Fisto except as the guy who got stabbed by Darth Sidious in Revenge of the Sith. But actually, no, this was before that. So this is how I did know Kit Fisto in the first place, was when he basically went down and defeated I don't even remember their names, the Mon Calamari are the good guys, and the Quarren. When he basically defeated the Quarren army single-handed underwater with his glowing lightsaber that kind of looked weird underwater, and he like pulls off his robe and goes full shirtless and dives into the water and just starts ripping through battle droids and tanks. He's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
I'm doing a triple for number 11 here, honorable mention still. Kylo Ren, Poe Dameron, and Finn. All introduced in the same scene, all during that village slaughter at the start of The Force Awakens. You got Finn running around trying to not lose his morality, killing innocent villagers, gets that blood streak on his helmet. He's the stormtrooper who won't follow orders, is having a crisis of conscience. You have Poe, who's...
Doesn't he take his helmet off, too?
Yes.
This is like the first time we see a stormtrooper just like full-blown take their helmet off.
Yes.
It's pretty shocking.
I also remember that scene for being like, my buddy and I were having a friendly bet. Hey, so how many times do you think the stormtroopers are going to miss in this one? First scene, they're shooting everybody super accurately in a mass slaughter. Oh, okay.
All right.
Poe Dameron, the rebellion's trusted spy who's getting this information, and comes face to face with a wannabe Sith Lord and is still super cocky in the face of it. You're like, hey, this guy's cool. And Kylo Ren stopping Poe Dameron's blaster bolt in midair. You're like, wow, this Darth Vader lookalike guy who I have no idea who this is. He's powerful. He's scary. He's cool. He's going to be the villain, isn't he? So they introduced these three gentlemen in Force Awakens.
I mean, doesn't he hold the blaster bolt and like he doesn't even move from there? He just stays there while he's having his conversation. Then he moves and then he lets it go.
Yes.
Like he's so confident. He just holds it the whole time.
Yes, so I think that's a pretty standout scene for introducing three separate characters very efficiently in the
all in one sequence, basically.
in the opening scene of Force Awakens. So they got a triple combo for the last honorable mention. So my number 10, getting into the proper list now, Cassian Andor in Rogue One. This moment, I always remember kind of blowing my mind back in 2016 in a subtle way, but still kind of, wow. So it starts off in the back alley of some seedy city planet, and you see Diego Luna, and he's having a conversation with this informant, and you're like, oh, he's a rebel spy getting some information. But this guy has an injury, and stormtroopers are incoming, and he can't escape with Cassian. And then Cassian just shoots the guy point blank and heads out. I'm like, wow. So we're establishing very early on in this movie that the rebels have, when it's not directly about the Jedi and Leia Organa and the really good people, you're in the trenches. Average soldier of the rebellion is willing to make some morally questionable choices. This informant wasn't a bad guy. He helped Cassian. He wanted to escape with him. And your first instinct is just to assume, hey, well, this guy's a rebel spy. He's going to help this guy. Oh, he just shot him? Oh, the good guys are sketchy in this movie. Okay, but also I get it because he's a loose end and saw his face and, oh, we're making real decisions. We're doing grown-up Star Wars now.
It kind of sets the tone right away, too.
Yes. And the movie had been going on already for a little while at this point, but this was the first time where I'm like, wow, okay, so we're doing this kind of Star Wars. I'm in. Okay. And that specific scene was the reason I was excited to see a TV show based on this character later on, where I thought, okay, this is the guy who's willing to make the hard choices in the name of a greater good. And I want to see a show about this rebel who isn't necessarily a pure good guy, and he can kind of exist in the gray for his rebel cause. And that's a very good introduction in a very short amount of time. He shoots his informant, he gets his information, he escapes from Imperials. I'm like, okay, you're cold-blooded and you're good at your job. I got it. Cassian Andor, number 10. Number 9, I'm doing another cheaters combo. I'm talking Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, but I'm going to give you two different moments here because while they're the same character, that's why I'm giving them one spot, but I'm going to say two different moments for each because they're kind of two different characters in a way. Like they are the same, but they're different. So I think my favorite Anakin Skywalker introduction is an Anakin reintroduction in Revenge of the Sith, when he and Obi-Wan are flying their ships in tandem. You're seeing, wow, these guys, they're very in sync with each other. You're flying through the carnage over Coruscant to the Clone Wars and seeing them be badasses. And then throughout all this carnage, we get a zoom in on the ship and we meet Anakin Skywalker. He's this young, handsome, confident Jedi Knight, and we get a big smile on his face, and this is where the fun begins. And Obi-Wan immediately contrasting him with a nervous energy. And I love this introduction to show, in the heat of this big battle, which we've just been witness to this entire time, this guy is He's calm, he's cool, he's collected, he's kind of enjoying himself, actually, in the heat of this chaos.
Well, and it's a pretty big change from the last time we saw him, too.
Yes.
Like a pretty dramatic shift where he went from
he was a moody teenager.
Yeah. So it was a really good way of demonstrating a lot of time has passed. Now he's like cocky and bold with what he's doing a lot more than he was before.
Most definitely. And as the contrast to this, kind of a tonal difference really, is Vader's very first introduction in A New Hope, where going back to the Tantive 4 and the stormtroopers are pushing away the rebel defenders. They've pushed them down the hallway, cut their way into the ship. They're securing the first hallway. All these guys in white armor, who the heck are they? They seem kind of a monochromatic evil force, though. You can't see their faces. The eyes are the window to the soul. We can see the rebels. You can't see the stormtroopers. This is... okay, these must be the bad guys, and they have a way bigger ship. I get domineering, oppressive vibes from these guys. Okay. So with this visual storytelling setup, then walks in Vader, looming over everybody. Big cape, once again, capes make people cool, going back to Lando. And he doesn't even say a word. He just looks right and left, examines his surroundings, and we hear that iconic breathing. And then he walks off. We're like, who's this guy? I mean, clearly he's the leader. He's the most imposing. Doesn't even need to say anything. You're immediately scared of him. You're like, is he a robot? Is he a dude? Or is he why is he wearing a suit like that?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you, man? I'm immediately interested. And especially in the white surrounding, this guy comes in all black. Even around his own guys who are wearing white. And then he walks in all black with the cape, taller than everybody else, super imposing. But once again, cool, collected. He's not panicking. There was a battle that was just here. This guy isn't fazed by it whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's commanding. He walks in fully in control of the situation. So that's the best Vader introduction and the best Anakin introduction, and I'm tying them just because they're basically the same guy. My number 8 is Darth Sidious' reintroduction again in Return of the Jedi. And this one, when I was making the list, I was like, oh yeah, this is Sidious' introduction. Wait a minute. His actual first introduction was in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, dang it. Forget it. Reintroductions are counting. Because I love the setup for it. It's all build-up of the entire... a lot of the Navy are set up in the second Death Star. And it's just like this gorgeous setup, very... the reflective black colors on everything. The walls of everyone, the officers in their Navy uniforms, and the stormtroopers set up, and even Vader seems a little bit nervous for the first time in the whole franchise, where some guy, I think the guy is a little bit upset, he might mess up the Emperor's introduction, and Vader warns him he's not as forgiving as I am.
Okay.
And that's when John Williams' Emperor theme kicks in, and we see this wrinkly old man walking off the ship and into the second Death Star, and he's got this big grin on his face. He's just looking around. I'm like, wow, this little old man, all these army, this entire space station that can kill planets, this ominous, sinister musical theme, even Darth Vader seeming a little scared and playing contrast, hey, I'm good cop in this situation, just so you know. To finally meet the Emperor in person. It is a incredible reintroduction rather, to the franchise's apex villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 7, going back to the Clone Wars 2D cartoon, because that was just badass. Asajj Ventress' introduction, if you recall.
That's a stretch.
Yeah. So this one is basically, she shows up to this fighting ring where all these guys are in a battle to the death down in the arena. And Dooku kind of acts knowing, like, yeah, who's this, huh? And then she goes down into the arena and she doesn't even have any weapons on her. And you just see her use the power of the Force and her acrobatic skills, and she just takes out the competition one by one. And then she pulls out lightsabers halfway through when it starts getting intense. I believe they were the blue and green ones at the time. And you're like, oh, is she some kind of Jedi? But Dooku's watching her, just observing her from the window with interest. I wonder what this is all about. So then Ventress kills everybody like crazy. And then Dooku jumps down. Empty arena, everybody's dead. And Ventress is still very cocky about it. And then Dooku just takes her out like nothing. Just to put her in her place. And that is when Ventress met Dooku. I don't even know if he knew who she was before, but she just shows up to this place unannounced, kicks everybody's ass, and then it was basically her audition to be Dooku's apprentice. And it was memorable to me. Wow.
Well, she had to make enough of an impression on Dooku and the audience, too.
Yes, I mean, this is where Ventress was very, very first introduced. This was her first scene ever. And I know she became more well-rounded in the Clone Wars 2008 cartoon over the years. She's probably best known for that, but this was her very first introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And when the other cartoon never even showed her meeting Dooku, so yeah.
So it's canon.
I don't know the canon status of those other ones. There's a lot in there that I'd say doesn't even contradict Clone Wars 2008, but also some that does, so I don't know. Going back to Clone Wars 2008, though, speaking of number 6, I'm just including the entire episode of Rookies in this to talk about Fives and Echo. Their introduction of the Shinies, the people who just got stationed to the moon of Kamino for defense, because this is the most boring post ever. This is the cloning planet. And we're the fighters. No one's ever going to attack this. Oops. Battle droids attack, and these clones who've never seen any battle outside of a training simulator have to survive and get word out to Commander Rex and Cody that Kamino might be under attack. So the fate of all clone kind might rest on them surviving and putting their trainee skills to the test. And I remember a large part of that episode was the theme of, they call them shinies because they've never been tested. And that's the episode they finally get some battle scars. Their armor gets scuffed up and worn in the heat of battle, and they have to learn some teamwork together. And Fives and Echo are the most recurring clones outside of Captain Rex, probably, in the entire show. Their Domino Squad arc is a pervasive one where we get to see them grow and become better soldiers as time's gone on. And it really all started here when they were just two random shinies on Kamino's moon. And this was also, I think, the first Clone Wars episode that put the clones front and center as characters. I believe the original arc of Clone Wars had Yoda in charge still, so you're like, yeah, we're introduced to new clones, but we're still following Yoda primarily. But this was the first one that just had the guts to say, no, it's a clone-specific episode. You don't get any Jedi in here. The only other people you might know are Cody and Rex. And even they're barely in it. We're just brand new characters you've never seen. Here you go. And they basically proved clone-centered episodes could work. So, 5's an echo at number 6. Number 5 is Yoda. And,
Which introduction?
Good question. Empire Strikes Back, very first one.
Okay.
So, this one is Luke and R2 are wandering through the swamp. They're lost. They don't know if they're even going to find this elusive Jedi Master who even Obi-Wan is like, oh man, he's the best. Like, fine. Gotta find this guy somewhere, I guess. So they set up their camp and don't really know what they're doing. And then this little green gremlin thing starts picking through their supplies and bashing R2 with his cane and just being a general nuisance. And Luke tries to handle this as patiently as he can at first, but this thing is so annoying. It is so annoying. And then he reveals himself to be Master Yoda. And that this was a test of Luke's patience, which he failed. Where Yoda starts speaking to the spirit of Obi-Wan and says, this guy ain't it. He can't be trained. He can't even pass a simple test of patience. How is he ever going to be expected to face the rigors of a Jedi Knight trial? And Obi-Wan tries to stand up for him, and then Luke immediately changes his tune. He's like, wait, you're Yoda? And then he immediately has more reverence and acts like he's in the presence of a master. But it's just that switch flip of, okay, it's an annoying puppet character. Oh man, it's one of those movies. Okay, Empire was good so far, but yikes. And okay. And then he becomes a believable character. It's Frank Oz's puppetry that really sells this character as realistic. It feels like an alien character and not just a gimmick or an effect. Especially Mark Hamill's interactions with him feel, you fully buy into the illusion of this alien creature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of I also associate in my mind more what Yoda would do later on in that movie as well, but it's a great introduction for subverting expectations, especially because that's part of Yoda's lesson is, he's small and he doesn't look like much, but there's a lot more there than meets the eye, and that's kind of his very first lesson of, you see me as one thing, but I'm really something else. You didn't expect that. And that sets the tone for his later lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So, going into number 4, back to the 2D cartoon, because it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Earlier on, you said Ki-Adi-Mundi, which I thought about. I'm like, yeah, Ki-Adi-Mundi. I'm like, I could put Ki-Adi-Mundi here, but it feels more appropriate to put General Grievous.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Because this was Ki-Adi-Mundi's introduction. I mean, really, he was in the Phantom Menace, just sitting on the council, but
this was General Grievous's first introduction.
This was his very, very first introduction. And this is a scene that scarred me as a child because it was very scary. You have this Downstar cruiser, and the entire thing is surrounded by battle droids as far as the horizon can see. And there's just these couple of Jedi who managed to survive this whole thing somehow. And you have this derelict cruiser they're in, falling apart around them. and it's eerily quiet. All these battle droids are in perfect position, just holding out their guns, just waiting. And it's just dead silent. And then you start hearing creaking, like there's something coming, but it's just one thing. It just sounds like one being is moving through the rafters of this derelict cruiser. And the Jedi are waiting. They can sense something is very wrong. And then there's that Padawan who Yeti is saying, be patient, just hold it, steady. And then he freaks out and runs outside, and General Grievous just comes and crushes him, flattens him physically. Stands up straight, knocks off his cape, pulls out all those lightsabers, and then just starts massacring Jedi. Until the ARC troopers have to fly their gunship in, start mowing him down. He's running along the walls. He's using his robotic feet to clamp into the walls, like literally running on the walls and avoiding all this gunship bullet fire, killing Jedi, massacring clone troopers left and right. You feel these Jedi Council members barely escaped. Or like Yeti was a Jedi Council member, which, like I said, we saw him in previous movies, so you're like, these are the best of the best. Mm-hmm. At least one of these guys is a top Jedi, and even he barely survived General Grievous. I think he hurt Aayla Secura as well. Mm-hmm. In that scene, you're like, he's taking on Jedi Masters here and winning. And it was a pretty violent scene too, just single-handedly wrecking house. And then they get away, and this is Grievous before his cough. That would come in part 2 of the animated show. But yeah, this was like, wow, this is what this guy can do. Very memorable introduction for me. So we're down to 3, 2, 1. The big 3. We got Han Solo at number 3. This one is kind of a combo scene because technically the parts I like most about this introduction are in 2 different scenes, but functionally they're one scene, so I'm just sticking them together. The very first time we meet Han Solo is when Obi-Wan is trying to charter a flight out of Tatooine, and he and Chewbacca are just super cocky guys. They're bragging about, hey, well, you're chartering the Millennium Falcon, the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. And they're belittling Luke, who's trying to act like a big shot, and he's totally building himself up as best pilot they could ask for, given their situation. And Obi-Wan's kind of negotiating a little bit. Luke's negotiating very poorly. But Han and Chewie, they're just they're cool. They're confident in themselves. It's good. And then Luke and Obi-Wan leave. And then we see more what Han's really like when Greedo holds him at gunpoint immediately and forces him back into the booth. And then we see Han on the defensive for the very first time, where you're like, okay, this is kind of all bluster that he's just been showing up to this point. Yeah, maybe you are a good pilot, but you've also got some debts, and you crossed some bad people, and you have bounty hunters after you. You are maybe not a good person to be chartering fugitives right now. But, so then he has that famous conversation with Greedo, where he's got the gun under the table, ready to go, and then he shoots first and only. In a version. Or he shoots in tandem in many others, including ones I grew up with. Either way, this is a guy who would shoot first and ask questions late. Yep, that exact, for audio listeners, Justin just did the CGI head bob that dodged the laser. Oh. They were a Greedo shot first. And, yeah, you know all you need to know about this guy between these back-to-back scenes is He's very confident in himself, at least. He's a good pilot, but he's also a wanted criminal who can try to talk his way out of a situation, but if he can't talk his way out, he'll shoot his way out. Oh, and then to top it off, he walks out, flips a coin to the bartender. Sorry about the mess. This guy's just freaking cool.
Yeah.
He's just the coolest. All the women loved him. All the guys wanted to be him. He was the coolest guy in A New Hope. And then we get to number 2, Luke Skywalker. Who, this one's a great irony because I couldn't just narrow it down for introductions, but it wasn't his first one. I'm going to say that because when it comes to introductions,
it's pretty weak.
When it comes to introductions, I think Luke Skywalker has one of the worst in the whole franchise. I will, just getting called by his aunt and uncle, coming up to inspect the droids. Okay, Luke, you can, you have to go in and clean them. But I was going into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. No, that's not the one I'm going to put on the list.
That's the introduction. It's iconic.
No, I'm going with a triple combo of his 3 best reintroductions.
Yeah.
Number 1, Return of the Jedi, where we've seen this guy as a whiny farm boy. We've seen him as a wannabe Jedi Knight who's still a bit headstrong. And then we see him as the collected Jedi Knight who comes in with the black robes into a palace of a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Force choking out giant pig guards, walking up to Jabba the Hutt confidently and demanding his friends back. Like, yeah, this is awesome. Facing the Rancor. Single-handed. No lightsabers. Amazing reintroduction. You're like, wow, Luke became a badass between 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
He's really grown up here. Second reintroduction, and Force Awakens, where you spend the entire movie waiting. Line 1 of the movie, Star Wars, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker has vanished. Oh. And then you don't see him till the very last scene of the movie.
It's the quest to find Luke Skywalker.
Exactly. And it was incredibly epic in the theaters. There's that whole buildup of Rey finding the map that R2 finally woke up and put in the last piece of the map. And then we have Rey and Chewie go off in the Falcon to find him. And we're like, oh, is this going to be like, is that where they're gonna end it? Is them just going off in the Falcon to find it? Oh, no, there's one more scene.
Keep going.
They keep going. They land the Falcon. And John Williams, the Jedi Steps plays. It's a great theme. It's mysterious. They go to the very first Jedi temple where Rey has to ascend an entire mountain with the classic lightsaber from the very first movie. And then we see him, his back is to the camera. He's got the white robes. He looks like a mystical ancient master. The kind of guy who will defeat the whole First Order if only we could find him. And then he turns around and takes off the hood like Obi-Wan Kenobi and says nothing.
It says nothing.
He just stares. He looks down at the lightsaber, back to Rey. He just stares. And then we cut to credits. And it was like, in my life, I think that is the best cliffhanger I've seen in a movie.
Did you like the resolution, though?
God awful.
The ending of the scene basically comes...
Terrible.
I think it was great.
It's so bad.
It's a great continuation of that
It's so bad
scene.
for so many reasons, but this is a list about introductions or reintroductions. And yeah, that was a hard 3 years to wait just for him to whip it over his shoulder.
I think the jokes were made about that too before it happened.
Oh, it hurt so much.
Oh.
Anyway, and then Luke's third and great introduction is in The Mandalorian,
When he wasn't expected.
where he wasn't expected. We don't know what this is going to be. We're just like, so they're all dying. A lone X-Wing? Okay, well, it may be like a rebel person or whatever. I was literally in denial the whole time. I'm like, yeah, it's a lone X-Wing? That could be anybody. Could be, I don't know, could be Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. Could be his friend.
It's Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Could be Ki-Adi-Mundi. I don't know. And then they're still dying upstairs. And then they look on the security cameras. It's a guy in a black robe. I'm like, oh, well, it could still be anybody. I mean, it's a guy in a black robe with an X-Wing, but it's fine. And then you see he's got a robotic hand. No, it's fine. And then you see the security cam footage. He's got a lightsaber. He's just ripping through guys with a lightsaber. I'm like, oh, a hooded guy with a lightsaber and a robotic hand. And then you see it's green. And then you get it in the color. And he's got the robotic hand and the green lightsaber and the full black cloak. And you don't even see his face yet, but you're like, yes, this is it. This is exactly what I thought it was the whole time. But didn't want to believe. And you're like, wow. And then it builds all the way up to, do that Disney parallel where Darth Vader got his hallway scene, Luke Skywalker gets his hallway scene, ripping through dark troopers like he's Kyle Katarn or something.
Everybody needs a good hallway scene.
Yeah, he got his hallway scene, and then we get his CGI face, which, like, on rewatch...
It doesn't look so good on
rewatch. Whatever, on rewatch.
It was amazing at the
first time. Yeah.
It was
The first time was like...
It was too cool and unexpected that your mind was too blown to be like, that doesn't really look like him that much, but...
I think they fixed it again in post since then.
I think so. I think they touched it up again.
Yeah, I don't know what even the original looks like.
So maybe when people want to check it out now, they'll be like, what are they talking about? It looks perfectly fine.
Yeah. It was different originally, okay? But nobody cared because we were all, what?
It was mind-blowing. We knew there was going to be a Jedi, but there was a lot of speculations. I don't think anybody predicted that it was Luke, though.
Because nobody thought Disney had the guts to bring an original trilogy member back like that again.
No, nobody thought they would do that. Out of all the speculations, out of all the Jedi posed on there, and they're like, oh, it could be somebody new, it could be somebody we know survived. No. I never once saw the theory that it was going to be Luke, so it was mind-blowing when it was Luke, and we're like...
Like, when Ahsoka was in the show, it made sense. I'm like, fine, you recast her from a cartoon, a live action, sure, she's in this era, that makes sense. Maybe you should get someone like, I don't know, what Cameron Monaghan is, Cal Kestis, or whatever, I don't know. Somebody maybe we haven't seen in live action, like Ahsoka again. Something, one of your expanded universe tie-in things. Oh, you're just going with a full-on original trilogy character. Okay. I don't even care that his face is CGI. This is fan service, correct. I am okay with this. It felt very good. The only reason Luke Skywalker didn't make number one was because all of his are reintroductions. And I just felt bad about putting reintroductions at number one.
That's cheating.
It's cheating. So for number one, I had to go with a proper introduction, which is, hello there. Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, setting the scene. Luke is getting his ass beat by Tusken Raiders. 3PO's got his arms cut off. R2's hiding behind rocks. It's a level 1 adventuring party. They weren't doing very well in the first encounter.
Whoa. R2 was not hiding behind rocks, okay?
Oh, sorry. That was a special edition.
Okay.
He was hiding under rocks, and then he was behind rocks in the special edition. So then you have this crate dragon come by. Oh, actually, it's an old man. Waving his hands and
making scary noises.
He's so confident he's scaring the Tusken Raiders away. And then they run, and he's checking for Luke's vitals. And then we get the famous, hello there. And that's one of those ones where I feel like this is one of the only introductions I've seen that has gotten better with age. Because the first time you see him, it's just, okay, he says hello there. Okay, he's introducing himself.
It's such an iconic line that it's everywhere.
Yeah, and then when Ewan McGregor did it again, it's like it kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the original and it just makes it even better. And then all this, so he wakes up Luke and Luke tells him his mission. Oh, Ben Kenobi? I'm looking for an Obi-Wan. Have you heard of him? Oh, of course I know him. He's me. Oh, okay, we're getting some of the mystery. Why are they going after a guy named Ben Kenobi? And this is who he was actually looking for. And he's like, oh, and then he kind of recognizes R2, and I don't seem to remember owning a droid. Okay. Like, what is this?
He says he's yours. No.
Yep.
It's a lot of mystery built up there. A lot of questions, all in one little package there.
Yes, I think that's one of the only ones on this list that both resolved a mystery that was set up and also set up more for later. I kind of understand who this guy is. He's an old man. He's seen some stories. He's hiding his identity. He's important for something. But I don't know what yet. I don't know what you do yet. I feel like out of all the introductions, I probably understand the least about Obi-Wan Kenobi from his introduction. But he's also one of the only ones who's like, I need to see more. The other ones are like, I want to see more. Obi-Wan is, I need to see where this guy goes next. So, any final comments on Star Wars character introductions?
There's a lot of good ones.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the other ones I had written down, I had Rey, Padme in Attack of the Clones, when her ship blows up and her decoy dies.
I think the thing with Star Wars introductions is that the reason why, like, the further we get into the series is where most of the ones, on this list have come from. But it's the confidence in the filmmaking, like the choices they make to be like, this character is going to be iconic. We don't care how we got to do it. We're going to make this character iconic, and they roll with that. With that, their character is cool.
Personally, I feel like that's more of a Disney era invention in the Star Wars. I feel like when George was making the movies, it was more, this might hit, it might not. It's just like it's my own franchise and I'm just doing typical stuff. Like, think about...
Well, that's not true, because going to the prequels there's a lot of big introductions for characters.
Well, I was going to say that, but think about Phantom Menace, right? The very first scene, we have Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and those introductions are so subdued, right? We barely even hear Obi-Wan talk, and then the first time we see them is they walk into the negotiation chambers and just take off their hoods, and he basically says, "Oh, yeah, you're Obi-Wan," but there's no fanfare to it. It's just like, it's subtle.
But there's still big introductions.
Like Darth Maul was another one on my list, but I was just like, if you think about his introduction, he just showed up on a holotape in the background. He showed up on a Zoom call and was like, "This is my apprentice, Darth Maul." And then he came, that was his actual introduction. If I'm thinking about badassery, there's Duel of the Fates, the door opens, the double lightsabers come out. He's got awesome moments. Introductions, not necessarily.
It's a reintroduction.
Within the movie.
Within the same movie.
Darth Maul had 3 good reintroductions within that movie. There was at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we have revenge. And then there's the other one where Qui-Gon is even freaking out for a second. It jumps them. Darth Maul's got a lot of great moments. His actual introduction...
Not so much.
Okay.
It's pretty weak.
Okay. He just stands in the background looking tough. Like Jango Fett, another one, was like, Yeah, you were kind of cool. You like gave Zam Wessel something and left, and then you like shot her and left again, and then like he got a good reintroduction. Like Count Dooku, first time we see him is in a meeting with the Separatists. He's just like sitting at a boardroom and talking about Separatist stuff. Other characters are like, I don't know, they're all like a lot. Like Ahsoka was one as well, where I'm like, the coolest thing about her introduction was shock factor. Like, oh, Anakin's got an apprentice. And like, that was the whole thing. It was just like, it's nothing about her introduction. She kind of just shows up on a gunship and is like a surprise nobody wants at the time, audience or characters. And I was like, Star Wars lacks for a lot of great introductions in the George Lucas era. Whereas Disney was like, you start from The Force Awakens immediately. And Disney was like, this is going to be a $2 billion movie. We bought Star Wars. We know people are going to watch episode 7. So everybody we're introducing for the long term is going to be awesome. We're going to make sure Kylo Ren, Finn, Poe, Rey, make sure all of them are great. We're going to make sure every reintroduction is memorable. We're going to make Han and Chewie memorable, Leia memorable, Luke memorable. Everybody gets a memorable reintroduction too.
Well, I guess maybe that's the difference between George Lucas and, like, you don't even have to go to the Disney era because you can go to the 2D Clone Wars where we're introducing characters and they want to make these characters cool, where George just kind of is like, yeah, here's the character. I don't know.
That's exactly his kind of vibe, yeah. You see how Genndy Tartakovsky does it with General Grievous? And then the first time George introduces General Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, he's just kind of hanging out on the flagship of his flagship and like,
he just exists.
I thought you'd be older. George is very, very casual with his introductions. Disney introduction, except for a lot of the ones on this list were, but even a lot of the ones on this list are like they were good because they were subtle or they were reintroductions in later movies.
Yeah.
Personally, A New Hope is still like a lot of my favorite introductions, but it's also like they weren't the coolest ones per se, but they are still some of my favorites. But the Disney era has a lot of like the nostalgia and the cool factor. Like for everything, even The Mandalorian, like we said in Honourable Mentions. Din Djarin, it's like, well, you're the character who's heading our first live action Star Wars show. Cool, we give you a good introduction.
And Grogu
too. They make sure everybody's badass on that show.
Yeah. They do introductions very well.
Or like Boba Fett when they reintroduced him as well. Cooler than before. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Where he just was kind of there. Yeah. And I feel like Andor is the only show that was more in the George Lucas mold of like, we're not introducing these things assuming they're iconic. People just kind of exist in this world. And you come to like them later. It's just a different approach.
Yeah.
But most other Disney era Star Wars things are like Episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett. You know the one. And I love it, but you know the one.
Oh, man.
So, that's all I have to say on character introductions today.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. All right, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at jchurchtpm.
You can find me on Instagram at ThoughtPlane Media. And check out thoughtplane.ca for everything else we do. There's hundreds of posts there for free. And you can donate $1 or $2 there if you like our work and you're feeling generous. We hope to see you on the next close-up. Till next time.
Bye-bye.